Second and 5, play fake. Howard flips it. Smith got it. And the freshman just launches in as the Buckeyes score to answer the Irish. Judkins slips a tackle. Richard Judkins and Ohio State makes it 2 for 2 and takes the lead.
The Ohio State of Mind podcast, hosted by Josh Keeley and Chris Rogan.
Hey, and good evening. It is the 3rd of February. It is 9 p.m. Eastern. It is only 6 p.m. here on the West Coast. Sorry about that, gentlemen. But this is the Ohio State of Mind podcast. I am Chris, as always. Just to my left here is Josh, and we've got a very special guest. Josh, you want to do a nice introduction, do you?
Yeah, here we got Ohio State, National Champion, the pride of Zanesville, Julian Goines-Jackson. Julian, thanks for joining the show. How does it feel to be a national champion, brother?
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. First off, I'd just like to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Without him, none of this would be possible. So I just want to start there. But to answer your question, words can't describe what it feels like to be a national championship. Truly, growing up, a huge Buckeye fan. I watched every national title from the time I was probably 3 when they played in the Fiesta Bowl against Texas against Colt McCoy to obviously present day, and just to finally be in that elite class of individuals and teams that can call themselves national champions, it is truly special.
That's awesome, man. And for those that don't know, Julian is on the offensive line, a preferred walk-on. You were at every single playoff game.
Yes, sir.
You were there when the confetti dropped.
I was.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
How did it feel when that confetti? Like, what was the euphoric feeling, man? Just
it was truly a weight off my shoulders personally, and literally everyone else's shoulders. We had a up and down year, as everyone knows. At one point in the season, our unit, the O-line, we were not the most liked unit by the Buckeye faithful. So to finally, play well through the most important part of the season and see that confetti drop, knowing that all the hard work and sacrifice that you put in finally paid off was special.
That's awesome, man.
Without question, you got Erica here. Is this a loved one here?
Yeah.
Okay. So Josh brought it up. The pride of Zanesville. You were a Blue Devil.
Sure.
How your senior year of high school, when it comes to recruiting, offers that you did get, how did that? Was it you seeking out individually? Did you have offers coming in left and right? Was it kind of touch and go? How did the recruiting process go for you when senior year came around?
So going into my senior year that summer, my dad, who I think is on here somewhere, shout out to him, he took me to all types of exposure camps from the D3 level, NAIA, Division I, and I had some decent tape from the years past, my sophomore, junior, freshman year, but we knew that for coaches to take a chance on a kid from southeastern Ohio, especially from Zanesville, you'd have to get out there and really prove your worth and prove what you really have to offer. So, literally from May to probably the last week in July, we were at a camp somewhere every weekend working out with various coaches. So, yeah, offer-wise, recruiting really didn't pick up until probably early December. I had a bunch of D2s throughout the season. Youngstown State came in late, like really late, like 2 days before National Signing Day, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was thankful and blessed to have that on the table. I still had the PWO to Ohio State, but at that time it was more about the money situation. I wanted to financially take care of my family and put them in the best position and also, chase my dreams and goals. And at the time I, felt like that was Youngstown State. And so I went there out of high school, but recruiting wasn't, I wasn't a 5-star ESPN 2
right.
guy. But recruiting wasn't huge throughout the season. It just picked up probably after the season.
Right. We've got Will jumping on. Hey guys, it's been an interesting show. Will, thanks for jumping back on. So did you actually sign on National Signing Day itself?
Yes, sir.
Did you do the table at the high school? Did you have the family there?
Right.
did you have the hat, or was the hat provided?
No, I had the hat.
You had the hat? Okay.
I went on my official visit. The first weekend after my high school season ended, I went on an official visit to Youngstown State, which was ironic because I also went on I did 2 visits that day, actually. Did my official in the morning and the afternoon for Youngstown State the night before. And then that evening, drove down to Ohio State and did my visit there. So,
oh, wow.
Quite a day. But I was provided a hat from Youngstown State, and I ultimately did tell them, a few days before that I would sign with them. So.
And something I want to add, Chris, I know you're wanting to ask more questions. I just want to interject here. First of all, Julian, I collect a lot of like memorabilia and stuff like that, and I go to the local card shops in Zanesville, and it's very important that everybody understands how inspiring it is to see someone from the area make it so far. I mean, I'm at the card shop and they're opening up these packs of cards, and the kids are wanting Will Howard, Jeremiah Smith, and you. Like that's cool. That's really cool. I might understand was that you were like a ref on a basketball game over the weekend. So these kids were just stoked. Like, I don't really have a question. I just want to emphasize for everybody that's listening and that it is important that these areas in Ohio, like that's what Ohio State is built on. It's built on the backs of Ohio kids that grow up wanting to play Ohio State football. And it's really cool. And Youngstown State's super impressive too. As someone who played at a much shittier school than Youngstown State, trust me, people don't understand how hard and rigorous it is to be at that level. I mean, Youngstown State is big dog FCS football. I mean, that's a place where Ira Guilford and Louis Azaria transferred to. Jim Tressel coached there, right? I mean, the Bo Pelini coached there. That's big dog football. So many people just want to see whatever's on ABC and Fox, but there's a lot of football beyond that. And Youngstown State's a very impressive place. You should be honored to have played there, and it's very important. I just want people to know that, hey, man, this is not getting to Youngstown State is a huge accomplishment. To go with the Ohio State stuff. But Chris, go on. I'm sorry.
No, you're absolutely right, especially when it comes to Youngstown State. You being from Zanesville, I said that, I'm not far from you. I'm a Gloucester Trimble guy, and I can understand, going to Zanesville, coming and playing, college football. When you get there, when you move in, you start your practice, all that. What was the biggest eye opener, like that big jump? That you're like, whoa, wow, this is a different animal. What was that first moment that really got you?
So the first moment that really got me is actually when we did we weren't quite in fall camp yet, reported in the summer, and we were just doing stuff on cans, and the mental part of the game. Like I grew up a coach's kid, right? I played for my dad. My dad was a very, very good offensive line coach, still is to this day. And, I thought he taught me a lot about the game. And then when I got to Ohio State and Youngstown State, like it went from here to here real quick, making the checks, being able to tell what formation the defense is in, where the safeties are going to rotate, if you're going to get a boundary pressure by alignment, so just like the mental part of the game really, really shocked me. I mean, I knew the physicality and the speed of the game was going to be different, but to just get there and see all the moving components and parts and knowing that I got to know just as much as a quarterback at times, to keep them upright behind me, that was probably the biggest shock when I first got to college.
We got a listener question here, but Julian, before we get to, we're going to get to your question, John. But before I get to there, I do want to kind of dissect more to Chris's question there because it's such a great question.
Yeah.
So physically, because it's people always try to describe to people like what's it like playing at a certain level of college football. So is there a comparison that you could probably make from like, hey, playing at high school football is like being hit by, I don't know, a fist, and then playing at Youngstown State's like getting hit by a Honda Civic, and then at Ohio State's like being hit by a semi. Like what's the physical difference there? You know what I mean? Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. So the best comparison I give people when they ask me is, imagine you get your first car and it's a Dodge Charger, right? Fairly fast car on the market. That's Youngstown State, fairly fast car on the market. You get to Ohio State, they hand you the keys to a Ferrari and say, don't wreck it. The speed, the intensity, the attention to detail is just different, and I'll probably end up saying that word different a ton throughout this, but it's just different.
Now there were some dogs at Youngstown State. I mean, there were probably 2 or 3 guys that you think could hang on the Ohio State roster.
Oh yeah, the running back I actually played with, Jaleel McLaughlin, who is actually in the Denver Broncos running back rotation. Yeah. He was an animal and actually holds the record for all-time rushing yards in the NCAA at any level. I mean, he's a dog. I mean, so there are definitely some dudes at that level that you're going to see on Sundays for sure.
Yeah. Let's get to. You want to get to John's question here, Chris?
Well, let's get to Shauna's first. Let's get to Shauna's statement there.
Oh, what did my mom say? Oh my goodness.
Absolutely, so smart and so handsome.
Thanks, Mom.
He is. It's incredible.
I think of it like. Oh, also, I do want to get this out of the way. Josh is new to the area. You moved to Zanesville how recently now?
We moved here right after the pandemic. Yeah.
Right after the pandemic. So no, I do want to. I don't know if you're aware of this. I want to inform you. Notable Zanesville Blue Devil alum, Mark D'Antonio. Mark D'Antonio. He was a Blue Devil.
Yes,
he was a Blue Devil. We've got W.M. Jackson. Greetings, y'all. 3 blocks. Let's go, Bucks. We do have a question here from John. We're gonna kind of jump ship here a little bit. We're gonna continue to talk about your journey from Youngstown State to the Buckeyes to be a national champion. Julian, congrats, huge Buckeye fan. Can you give us some insight after that Michigan loss? What was said during the players-only meeting? I'm sure that was going to be the biggest question to ask. Yeah. Everybody wants to know, right? Huge proponent of overcoming adversity and what it said versus the media versus the locker room. Thanks.
Yeah, so directly after the loss, everything happened on the field. I mean, everyone saw it. I guess shout out to Fox for airing something entertaining, I guess, because the game's from a Buckeye perspective. But yeah, once we got back in the locker room, Coach Day addressed the team, and it was one of those things of like, here's the line in the sand. We can pack it in and be the shoulda, coulda, woulda team, or we can, make the corrections and take the steps forward to go still keep our ultimate goal, which was winning a national title, intact. And I'm not gonna lie, after the game, I actually hopped in my car, went back to Zanesville, Ohio. We had that weekend off because we didn't know what was going to become of the season. We did it, with the new 12-team format. When you look at our resume versus everyone else's, we really had no idea what might be of the season. So I had some deep, long talks with my dad and my mom, and it was one of those things where you got to look yourself in the mirror, because at the end of the day, when you suffer a loss like that, everyone has to look themselves in the mirror and see like, all right, what am I doing wrong here? And ultimately, I actually went to church and had a long conversation with my pastor about, why us? We're doing everything right the way it's supposed to be. Like, why are we not being rewarded? And, I won't necessarily get into all that, but, it's timing, not our timing. But when we got back into the Woody, when we had the players-only meeting, it was a true players-only meeting. I won't go into the specifics of what was said, but a major part of the meeting was, what are we going to do? Coach Day, that line in the sand. And we had a couple key guys who ended up making huge plays throughout the playoff run, if you know what I mean, step up and talk about, we're not going to just let this slip away because of one loss. Yes, the goals that we set for ourselves, we may not be able to check all the boxes, but as long as we check the top box, the top of the pyramid, this season won't be all for naught. So it was intense. A lot of things said, a lot of guys needed a reality check on both sides of the ball. It wasn't just one person taking the blame. We got to talk to Coach Day and, really express our concerns and questions. And, because at the same, like, we're fans too, no matter if you're playing 80 snaps or you're playing no snaps, we want to know the same answers as you guys. Why are we running the ball at 2 premier D tackles? Why are we not throwing it to Jeremiah Smith? Why are we not doing this? Why are we not doing that? And, as a player, you really don't want to ask those questions because, you have the ultimate faith and trust that your coaches are always going to put you in the best position to win. And, we did feel like we were in the best position to win. It's just, after the fact, we were like, okay, like we could have done something different. And so to be in there, have the players only meeting, have Coach Day come back in and answer all those tough questions was really good for the team and the morale. And we walked in there, defeated team, and we walked out knowing that there wasn't a team in the country that we couldn't compete with. And I mean, obviously it showed in the coming weeks.
Absolutely.
It was really the turning point in the season. It was the wake up call that we thought we had gotten earlier in the year against Oregon, and obviously it wasn't. But the meeting was pivotal, and I mean, obviously it catapulted us into becoming national champions.
Can I ask just 3 questions?
Yeah,
in regard to what you're saying? So obviously, as a fan, Chris and I do this every week, and I write for USA Today and all that. It's easy for me to watch the game and be like, all right, well they're in the playoffs. They're in the playoffs. Obviously, the loss sucked for everybody, but at the end of the day, Chris and I and other onlookers knew, hey, the season's not over.
Yeah.
As a player on the field, when that happens, did it feel? I mean, did you understand that? Did the players understand that? I mean, I was down on the field too, watching, everything unfold, and it didn't feel. It felt like that was kind of forgotten, which makes sense because everybody's real passionate. But is that something? Is that? Could you describe that? Like,
yeah. As soon as the clock hits 0, it's one of those things where you're looking at the scoreboard in disbelief. 4 years, we scored 1 offensive touchdown and we had the best offense in the country. You can't really believe it, but it was one of those things where in the actual moment, like, yeah, a lot of the guys, like, season was over, because we're Ohio State. We spend 365 days, 7 days a week preparing for that team up north. It's written on the toilet paper, for crying out loud, beat the team up north. So when that's not done, like, you feel like the season's over, even though when the dust settled and, we got in that players only meeting, we came in, we knew that we still were probably going to get in the playoff. Where, we didn't know, but we knew we were going to get in. But in that moment, yeah, it definitely felt like the season was a waste and a bust, and that we probably should have packed it in after that.
Interesting. Okay. And that makes sense. Now my next question was, I mean, a lot of people are crediting the Michigan loss to propelling Ohio State to the national championship. I, for one, think that that's a little too far. But how do you feel? I mean, do you feel like that loss was necessary to reach that next level to win the championship, or what is your feelings on that?
Yeah, so a lot of people do say that, and this is gonna sound crazy, but I actually agree. Coach Day always loves to say, no matter if it's a win or loss, there's problems and they're always there. When you win, though, they're not really magnified because you won. So you sort of just, skip over it and you're just like, yeah, we'll get it next time. But when your problems and the chinks in the armor are exposed on a national level like that, with the emotions and the rivalry and everything, it really makes you sit down and really, really take a hard look of like, all right, what are we doing that we shouldn't? And what are we not doing that we should be? And so it really made every position group, and everyone in the Woody from the top down really reassess, okay, what are we doing and how can we fix it? Because it was a, program defining loss at the time that ended up, propelling us to a program defining win at the end of the season. So yeah, I mean, it was in large part of that loss, because you got to think, we never lose that. Who knows? We continue to do the same old stuff, and you never know what may come of that. Because, people don't forget, but we'd struggled up to that point against, the teams before. We didn't struggle against Indiana, but we did. If you're a real ball watcher and you're really watching the game for the game, you could see that there were some problems there. We struggled against Nebraska. We struggled against Iowa. The scoreboard didn't, say that. But if you really watched the game, you saw that, we struggled to really run the ball downhill. We struggled to, at times, get the ball down the field. We just struggled in areas that in the playoffs we didn't struggle in. But that's because all that was exposed on the biggest stage possible up to that point in the season.
Well, and that brings me to this will be my last question, Chris. Then you can take.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the Oregon game, obviously, the Tennessee game, you guys came out, you dominated.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I would call it a domination. I don't want to talk about that game because that game that's not a common opponent, right? It was at home, yada yada yada. But the game that really was like, I was like, oh my God, this team is completely different. Was the Rose Bowl game against Oregon? I mean, you're still playing on the West Coast. You're not in friendly confines. The stadium was probably 60-40 Oregon fans. This is the best team. Oregon's the best team in the country. They've already beaten you once. But I mean, again, domination's a strong word, but I feel like it suits that game.
Yeah.
Well, was the Michigan the team meeting and the Michigan loss, did that propel you for the Oregon game too, or was there some extra spice that Ryan Day included in some of those that practice that week or pregame speech?
Yeah. So on Sunday when we had come in after playing Tennessee and saying, okay, because the message going in the playoffs was go 1-0. Let's just get one, and then we'll worry about the next, and then we'll worry about the next. But you just got to get it started, right? And so when we flipped on the tape from the previous meeting, it was disgusting. I mean, there were so many mistakes on both sides of the ball, even in special teams. You know, there were so many mistakes. And, you know, if you just watch the game, you're like, oh, you're 2 plays away and better clock management away from winning the game. We see that, but then we saw like everything else, busted coverages, missed assignments up front, bad reads, you know, so we knew that, okay, they're the number 1 team in the country. We lost by a point on the road. You know, you can argue a call here, a call there goes our way, and it's a totally different outcome. But we knew that if we showed up and played, you know, mistake-free football, and we didn't blow assignments, and we did what we were supposed to do, how we should do it, that we were going to be fine. You know, no disrespect to Oregon, great team, well-coached team.
Right.
All the respect in the world for Coach Lanning and his staff. But we knew that we had mismatches all over the field. It was just, could we go out there and expose them?
Right. Okay.
No.
Well, I got a couple more questions in my holsters, but I'll keep them down because we got some chat. And Chris, I'm sure you got some stuff.
Yeah, we've got the chat. Julian, was the best one-liner that has been said to you in practice?
Oh boy, Coach Fry had a lot of good ones. So actually, there was a one-liner that was said to me in practice, but not in college.
Okay.
My high school senior year, we're in the middle of the season. You know, I'm thinking that I'm an All-American and I'm this and that. And we're playing I'm going against some freshmen, actually. No offense to those guys. And I'm just sort of going through the motions out there. And our head coach at the time, Chad Grandstaff, shout out to him, stopped practice, blew the whistle, came up to me and said, son, with that performance right there, you could not play at Muskingum. And you think you're going to Division I? And that flipped my entire season and definitely the rest of practice because, you know, as a team captain and someone who a lot of the guys on the team looked up to, you know, by him calling out the best player on the field, then it sort of set the rest of the season. So, yeah, that was probably the best one-liner I ever got in practice.
Well, we got to hear a Justin Fry one now.
Okay, Coach Fry.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me think here because he had a bunch of them. I mean, he was just a straight-up funny guy. Who he yelled at me a lot too. So
What did he yell at? Was he just one of those coaches where he just likes to yell, or he just
no. He would yell at you when you needed it, but like he was one of those coaches that like he knew like what got guys going. And for me, like if he yelled at me, that got me going. For some guys,
okay,
put his arm around their shoulder, but you know everyone's a little different.
All right, okay.
I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I will think as the show goes on. I'll get you on the show. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll double back to it. Hey, how has everyday life changed in the last 2 weeks, Julian?
I can go outside and not be hated by everyone. And
were you getting hate? Were you?
Not hate, but you know, there wasn't.
Like, come on, man, kind of thing.
It was like, hey, man, like really 0-4, like you know, fire Coach Day and get Coach Fry out of here and this and that, and you know, we're humans, we hear it. You know, I have a cell phone too. You know, so
right.
Yeah, it's changing that. I haven't paid for a drink at a bar. You know, I probably shouldn't be saying that. Have not paid for a drink yet.
There it is.
A lot of smiles, a lot of checks picked up in restaurants. So
that does bring up an interesting topic though, because you know that was kind of the slogan there for the playoffs was Woody versus everybody and whatnot. Some fans kind of took offense to that, like, you know, what do you mean? Like, does that count against us too? And I mean, I kind of thought like, yeah, like because you know after the Michigan, I'm one of the fans after the Michigan game. You know, things were, you know, like you said, a lot of people, even some of the guys on the field, put the season in the trash can. Yeah. So I mean, the attitude of like, hey, the fans hate us, did that drive you perhaps, or drive the team, or was it just more of a distraction and upsetting?
I wouldn't say it drove us, but it was definitely something that Coach Day instilled. Like, you know, the same people that are going to put you on this pedestal now, remember, you know, November, you know, what they're saying, you know, because again, we're all human. We all have cell phones on the team. We all check them. You know, we got some pretty nasty messages, you know, so for him to say Woody versus the world, it was a little jab at Buckeye Nation, but I mean, at the same time, we know it's a love-hate relationship. They're going to love us when we're winning, and they're going to be critical of us when we're not. But
that's fair.
As long as we continue to reload and don't rebuild, we'll be all right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, some free drinks at the bar fixes it heals all too. So.
We got Sarah. How is the spiritual impact of the Lord of the team on this season?
Yeah, no. So that's a great question. It's been everything from the time that I would say hard launched, the shirts and everything during camp to, the losses to that team up north to winning the national title. It's been everything, to see it truly go from, oh, that Jesus thing they do over there to people really taking an understanding to like, how faith has really impacted this team. I know that, everyone's different in their faith and, I'm not anyone to push my faith on anyone else. But, if I have a platform, I would love to use it to, shout out my faith. And, I'm not scared to do that. This isn't 10, 15 years ago where you couldn't really do that type of stuff, And a lot of people even back then did it just because it looked good and it made everything, better. But now like it's truly something that people do because that's just who they are. And to know that we had a hand in that and an impact in that's super special.
Oh, absolutely.
That is, it was very cool seeing a lot of that in person. Travion, I know that he was kind of a big leader for a lot of that stuff. And, it doesn't matter what your religion is or what your background is, seeing you guys kind of get together it just felt like it strengthened the brotherhood. So yeah, that's a very cool thing to talk about and bring up.
No, we've got Will. Hey, Julian, thanks for coming on. What and who would give you credit for the line play and the way they did with the injuries and the players moving around?
Yeah, absolutely. All the credit goes to Coach Justin Fry for sure. Even though I know he just took the Arizona Cardinals job, he's going to do great things at the next level. But there's nobody in that Woody that worked harder than Coach Fry, and through all the adversity that he faced, I can't even put it into words, he's a special individual. The way that he just worked and worked and worked, we're coming into the Woody at 6 a.m. and it looked like he had been there since 6 p.m. last night. Sleeping on the couch in his office. He was a workaholic and he knew it would pay off, but he knew what made us click. He knew that, football's a violent game, so it's very rare that you finish with the same five you start with, Yeah. And to lose the Remington winner, to lose a first-round draft pick in Josh Simmons, to lose your next best tackle in Zen, to deal with all these things and still be able to put five guys on the field, moving your All-American left guard to left tackle, and he's never played out there in college. It took a lot of trust and a lot of faith, but also great coaches become great coaches when they have to be great. And no one thought that because, he may have struggled on the recruiting trail. But no one was there, in those meetings on the field during the walkthroughs. We all knew that he was a great coach. It just was a matter of time before the rest of the Buckeye Nation, the rest of the world knew he was also a great coach.
Well, can I ask a question in regards, because you brought it up, Ray? There was a lot of social media hate surrounding Justin Fry because of his quote unquote struggles in regard to recruiting. Now you've been on the side of that. I don't know if Justin Fry, did you talk to Justin Fry? I don't even remember before you came to Ohio State.
I did.
How was the recruiting process? Here's my question. It's a two-parter. A, how is he on the recruiting trail, trying to get you there, talkative, personability? And the second thing is, how much of a role does he even have in regard to that?
Yeah. To answer the first part of the question, he's a very charismatic and outgoing guy. I went and met with him in the summertime, like early summer, late spring probably. And he was about to hit the road for recruiting, but for him to take the time and sit down and talk to me, it was great. He brought me in. He said, listen, I'm not going to promise you anything. All I can guarantee you is a spot on the team. And if you work hard, good things may happen. Good things may not happen. I don't know. But he's a very personable guy. We cracked jokes and we had laughs and, football wasn't really the main topic when I came on my visit. It was, football was the last thing. Obviously, he's a big believer on you're here for a reason. We know you can play, but how are you as a person? Because at the end of the day, he wants to mold great men and great fathers and just great people off the field. If you can play at this level, you can play, so he doesn't have to worry about that. But to create people that he knows that at midnight on a Saturday night, he's not going to get a phone call because one of his dudes are acting like an idiot out in public. You know what I mean? Those are the type of people he's looking for. And part B of the question, just repeat part B. I'm sorry.
Well, like how much of a role does the coach? Because I know that was it Pantone,
Mhm.
right? Like that he's basically runs a huge part of the show as far as recruiting goes. So a lot that's kind of the big debate is like, well, how much influence does a positional coach even have
Yeah.
as far as recruits? I mean, if you're a 5-star offensive tackle or 3-star, whatever. I
Right.
mean, is Justin Fry the positional coach the make or break? Does that make sense? Like what?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
is
So, at least at Ohio State, I'm pretty sure it's like this at most other programs. At least some of my buddies at other Division I colleges. So your position coach, like Coach Fry, if he wants you, he has the authority to offer you a scholarship or offer you a spot on the team. And then it really goes down to Coach Day on the yay or nay, because most people don't know this, but not every offer is a committable offer. You could get an offer from Texas and then want to go commit and then be like, sorry, we don't have a spot on the roster. So it's really a two-part thing. The position coach, goes back to Coach Day and says, hey, I really like this kid. I think he can play here, add value to the team here. And then if Coach Day gives him the okay, then he has the authority to recruit his tail off and try to get you to Ohio State.
Very interesting. And for those that are listening, if you're looking for a non-committal guy that did end up going to Ohio State, Cardale Jones scholarship at the beginning was non-committal. But Chris, there you go.
Oh, we've got Erica back again. Hey, I want to know how the Tennessee atmosphere affected the team coming out on the field. Rocky Top on the shoe.
Yeah, so it's funny that they asked that. So when we went out to warm up, right, like before the team went out to warm up, like, each individual position group goes out there and warms up. And we knew it was going to be a raucous environment, first playoff game in the shoe at night in December. And we thought it'd be a mixed reaction, but we came out, it was a roar of boos. I mean, we were getting booed out of the shoe, not by probably just some of our fans, but majority of the guys in orange. And like, we looked around and we were like, oh okay. We hear you guys. We hear you. We see you. We got something for you. Just wait. And then we happened to be out there when they ran out there in shirts or no shirts.
Shirtless, yeah.
And their stretch bands. And we just looked over there and we said, oh, okay. All right. Because we knew as soon as the ball was on the tee and the gates were locked and they couldn't run, they couldn't hide, we knew we were going to quiet them, but we just had to buy our time. But it was weird going out there and getting booed. Yeah. I mean, not just, a quiet boo, like audibly booed out of the stadium, like bad, really bad.
Wow.
No, that's something I don't think a lot of Ohio State athletes could ever really say.
Exactly.
That is a wild one. Great question right here. What would you say to aspiring student athletes seeking to play D1 football? Anything now, things you would have wished you did or knew in high school?
Yeah. So one piece of advice I'd say is your character off the field. If they're looking at you, the talent on the field speaks for itself if they're giving you a look. But what people don't know and understand is like they're not going to ask you directly or your parents like, hey, like, what do you think about Julian? Because obviously, your answer is going to be skewed and towards your direction. But they're going to ask those teachers. They're going to ask those people in the community. They're going to ask, the people that you don't think are really watching your actions to see like, okay, what is this guy like? Because no program anywhere in the country wants to bring in a guy that's going to constantly get themselves in trouble or be late to class or just do things that don't represent the university well. So my piece of advice would be to make sure your image off the field is just as good as your play on the field.
No, that's a great one. You brought that up. We talked, hey, coming from Zanesville, being a Blue Devil, going to Youngstown State. So now that's your freshman season. From your freshman season to your sophomore, that transition from Youngstown State to Ohio State. How was that first initiated? Was that you seeking something else? Is that you wanting to see, try your hand and go to, what I assume was almost every athlete in Ohio's dream? How does that begin?
So it was actually we had just finished up spring ball at Youngstown State, and I was a little frustrated because I didn't feel like that things were necessarily going my way, and I wasn't mad at anyone like on the coaching staff or the university. I was just mad at myself, my poor performance at that time. And I had to talk with my dad, and my dad was like, well, what do you want to do? Because at the time, I was a great student. I enjoyed Youngstown, but something was off. I just didn't know quite what it was. And I told my dad, I was like, hey, like, I've been here for a year and a half, went through the season, went through winter, went through spring. Like, I think it's time for a change, And he was like, well, the transfer portal is no joke, especially now. Like, there's a chance that if you enter, like, that's it. Like, your football career is done. And I was like, that's a chance I'm willing to take because I love it at Youngstown State, but I know it's just not the place for me. And I don't know where that place is at, but it's not here. And much love to Youngstown State. I enjoyed my year over there. So it's nothing against them. But I was when I hopped in the portal, my dad got the call from a recruiting coach over at Ohio State and was like, "Hey, saw Julian's name. We've been keeping tabs on him. Does he have any interest?" And my dad called me, and I thought it was a joke at first. I was like, "Dad, like, stop. Stop
playing." Yeah,
be serious. He's like, "No, they reached out and they want to know." And I was like, "Well, yeah, like, how fast can I turn things around and get to Columbus?" And within about a couple days, I was a Buckeye. So
that's awesome. Wow,
yeah,
that's insane. We got Will here. Julian, you might want to hold some of this info back for your book deal.
Hey, so Will does have a good question as far as the right above it.
Oh, Misha, here we go. Was beating Tennessee the second most satisfying victory? Seems like this game was to set the tone for what was to come.
Yeah, it definitely was. We knew that Tennessee was a wild card almost, really, because you didn't know what you were really going to get from Tennessee, and that's no disrespect to them. Again, another great program. Have all the respect in the world for their coaches and their coaching staff. Josh Heupel, sorry. But we didn't know what we were going to get. You turned on the tape and you saw a team that lit up an Alabama team who we thought was very solid, and then you see them go out there and sort of lay a dud against Arkansas, and who went 6-6, and no disrespect to them. But, we didn't know what Tennessee team was going to show up. And we knew that they were a volatile offense, their quarterback and their receivers and their running back and their offensive line, they were big, physical, fast SEC boys. I remember,
right.
I turned on the tape. I went home to watch with my dad because that's something we like to do. And we're just sort of looking at each other like, okay, we're going to have our work cut out for us up front. But once we really delved into it and broke it down, we knew that there were some holes in that defense. And I think it was very evident that we took full advantage of those holes.
No, absolutely. And, Josh and I brought it up, during – I think probably the week after that Ohio State Tennessee matchup, regardless of, who made the playoffs, who didn't, everyone, there's plenty of people throughout the country clamoring for, a 3-loss Alabama. At the end of the day, Josh and I know you as well, we've lived our whole life. We've talked about and we've heard inklings and talks of SEC bias. But at the end of the day, this was an SEC team that everybody agreed, consensus, belonged in the playoffs. And again, Ohio State, you get this Big Ten, you get this SEC matchup, and you guys went out there and you silenced that booing horseshoe crowd very quickly.
Yeah, we silenced Neyland North or whatever they call it.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. Let me piggyback off of Will's Will's question. So you played how many top 5 teams, Chris? Is that right? Or 6?
5, yeah.
5, yeah, okay. So you got Penn State, Indiana, and then you got to the playoffs. You went to Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, and Notre Dame.
Yeah.
10, 20 years from now, when you're looking back, what games are the most vivid to you? Like, what if you had to rank the games? I know the national championship against Notre Dame is going to be like, the best, the most unforgettable moment. But there had to be a game. There had to be a couple games that are kind of out of order. Like, that game was really special for whatever reason.
Yeah. As far as the playoffs, I'll break it down into regular season playoffs. As far as the playoffs, I would say Texas was a special game.
Oh wow!
Not only going to Dallas, Texas to play Texas, but it was a given that we were going to be in for a 4-quarter fist fight. It was just a matter of who was going to land that big right hook. And throughout the game, we took our turns delivering jabs and body shots. But when we landed that right hook and it set in, all right, we are 4 quarters away from all the marbles. Like that was really special. And regular season wise, probably a special game. It's probably Indiana. Not only because of the fact that Coach Signetti, again, much respect for him, but he had said some things leading up
very
to
vocal.
the day of the game, very vocal.
Very vocal.
And we kept our mouth shut. and just let our play talk. But it was special because we finally got a punt return after like
Yes.
years.
Yes.
Finally got one. But it was super special because the last one we got believed was against Indiana too. I think Jalen Marshall had it back in the day. But to
Jalen Marshall, yeah.
finally get one, and I mean it was electric for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You got a couple in here that you brought up Texas. You got scoop and score and so much more. Go Bucks, and of course your reaction to that scoop and score.
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie.
Who did you jump on?
Yeah.
I mean,
So
how'd
like
that go?
we're sitting there on the bench and we're actually looking at the gigantic jumbotron that they have in AT&T.
The Jerry World jumbotron.
Jerry World, yeah. We're looking at it and we're just, we figured that they're gonna punch this thing in. And no offense to the defense, but they're on the 1 yard line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For whatever they were on.
Mhm.
And so we're sitting down there thinking about, all right, like what are we gonna do? We're most likely gonna be in 2 minute, getting field goal range, so we're not really paying attention too much to like what's going on. And we just happened to look up and Jack had bent the corner and the ball bounced to him and everything just went black. I'm not gonna lie, everything went black.
Was it just absolutely deafening?
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything went black. Just running down the sideline, just hugging guys, throwing towels and water balls in the air because we knew, like, again, now we are 4 quarters away from everything we set out to accomplish at the beginning of the season.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe you got a buddy here, Big J. Now that you're at Ohio State, do you think our 8th grade selves could beat the Buckeyes, or are you finally going to admit we were a little too confident in us?
Yeah, so a little quick backstory. In 8th grade, we were putting up like 50 points a game. In 8th grade, that's a lot of points. And we had a statement one time in the locker room. We were at halftime and we were up by like 40. And I stood up there. I was like, "Hey, like we could take Ohio State, fellas." Out of it, but yeah, Brody, I'll admit we couldn't take Ohio State today, tomorrow, yesterday, or next year. So
Breaking news on the Ohio State of Mind podcast.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So we make that journey. We're a Buckeye now, and we had it would have been your sophomore season. Your sophomore year ends in Jerry World at the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
Then to go back to Jerry World in the Cotton Bowl, how does that feel?
It felt great. Going in, we knew it was going to be a very hostile environment, way more hostile than it was against Missouri. But we also knew we were a different team. The first year we went, we knew we were undermanned. It was just about, all right, can we just give ourselves a chance? But, going back, it was, we expect to compete. We expect to win. We expect to get results. So it was a different feeling, being a young sophomore, just happy to be there, to being a, I guess, experienced junior, like,
right,
knowing that at any moment, like, you get a tap on the shoulder, hey, you got to go. So
right,
yeah, but it felt good to go in there and get redemption. Because it was intimidating at first, knowing that we were going to play a very big physical Texas team in Texas. But once the ball was put down and the pad started popping, it's just football at the end of the day. So
no, wholeheartedly. Actually, a really great question. Shout out to your family, just coming with a great question. Now, can you talk about the importance of non-starters and their role of getting the team ready for those big games?
Yeah, absolutely. No one ever wants to talk about the scout team, but I think if you ask any Power 5 coach or really any coach at any level, like the scout team guys are some of the most important guys on the team because usually, I can't speak for everyone, but usually those are the guys that are working, really, really hard because, they're not blessed to be 6'7", 310 and have a 40-inch vertical and be the first round pick in the NFL draft, So those are some really hard-nosed, tough, gritty guys that just love the game, love to get beat on by the best D-line in the country, love to try to guard the best receiving core in the country. They love to just try to, get after the guys that we know are going to hopefully lead us to victories on Saturdays. And, the coaches do an unbelievable job at Ohio State of making sure that we feel loved and a part of the team too, because they know that without us, it'd be hard to, give looks because we're still good football players. We just happen to not maybe fit that Division I box,
Well, dude, Well, hold on. The Division One box. You're talking about Ohio State. You're talking about the
You're feeling it.
first round box. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not fair.
Yeah.
You gotta give yourself some more credit, bro. You fit the Division One box. It's the
Yeah.
first round possible gold jacket
Yeah.
Hall of Fame box that you might not get.
I appreciate that.
No, you've checked all the boxes, but you're talking about these first round, talent. You came in your first year and you had a first round wide receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr. What was it like? Anything stood out with you about Marvin? Obviously, he was the baller. Obviously, he was the son of a Hall of Famer as well. Did you ever have a moment you're like, wow, this guy? There's no question this guy is going first round. Is it something like obviously not on on Fox or NBC that we could have seen, but just in the Woody in practice, you're just like, this guy's different.
So I know people had probably heard about it, and I'm just going to harp on it because it was unbelievable. His work ethic. I've never seen someone work as hard at his craft when nobody's supposed to be watching as he did. I'm not talking about on the jugs machine because I'm sure you guys have heard about that. How he just catches thousands of balls at the end. No. I'm talking walking through routes, record himself to make sure that, just to find that something, that little inch that could be the difference between a good route and a great route. I mean, his just attention to detail and work ethic was unbelievable. I could walk in the Woody at 7 a.m. He'd be out there. I could walk in the Woody at 9 p.m. He'd be out there. Like, it's almost as if he lived there. And I'm convinced he probably did live there. I'm not going to lie. But just his attention to detail and his work ethic was just unbelievable. And it set the tone really for me coming in, like, okay, what it's supposed to look like. Yeah.
No, absolutely. We've got Will back again. Hey, are you surprised the coaches that left? Are you pulling for any coaches to be promoted within? I think your dad would be good for the O-line stuff, right?
Yeah. So we had a meeting with Coach Day, and Coach Day had a great thing. Champagne problems. When you bake an award-winning pie, everybody wants a slice. So we won the award, and now everyone wants a slice of that pie.
Yeah,
right.
We're happy for everyone, no matter what people say online or on Twitter. We're happy for everyone. That's including Coach Knowles. Even though we'll have to see him, but we'll get to that down the road. But
November 1st,
yeah. Extremely happy for Coach Fry. Extremely happy for Coach Kelly, Coach Larkin, Coach Lee Allen Clark going off to Texas. Extremely happy for all those guys. Because they went through the same trials and tribulations as we did. When we lost, they lost too. When we struggled, they struggled too. So extremely happy for them. As far as am I rooting for any coaches, I don't really root for any coaches per se. We're Ohio State. And I know we're going to go out there and get the best in the country. And if that comes from in-house, great. If not, that's okay too. Because I have the utmost faith in Coach Day and his staff that he's going to get pieces to the puzzle that fit and ingredients that are going to make it another award-winning pie. So
I like that. I like that a lot. No. So we're talking, your sophomore season ends in the Cotton Bowl. We're coming into your junior year, and that spring, now you start hearing, oh wow, Caleb Downs. Oh wow, Seth McLaughlin. Oh hey, we've got a recruiting class that's out of this world. Does anything feel different that spring?
Yeah, definitely. I'll throw back to winter when we first started. Every workout you're going to do at Ohio State is going to be difficult and challenging. That's not, that's just a given. But the way we worked, the things we did, the way that, when things get tough, you might see some finger pointing and, certain teams and teammates might fall apart, but like literally whatever they threw at us, we just did and attacked it and loved to do it, And so by the time we had went through that crucible of, Coach Marotti wintertime woes and we had gotten to spring and we knew we were a good football team. And then those guys coming in, making us a great football team. It was definitely refreshing and we knew we had something special. It was just about how hard we could work through the rest of spring and the summer and preseason camp to really go show the world what we really have.
No, absolutely. And, we sit here, I know Josh and I have sat here and said it before, and we've heard it on the internet as well. Maybe you and your buddy Brody could attest to this. We sit and we talk like, hey, I think the best offense and the best defense that Ohio State plays is them against each of the ones and twos in practice. Did you ever let that sink in? You're like, I think they might be right. I think there might be some weight to statement?
Yeah, we were in spring student appreciation day actually, and I know the clip went viral, but the catch that Jeremiah Smith had over Denzel Burke, we were just sort of like on the sideline, like, did we really just see that? Like, he's probably going to be a first round NFL draft pick, and that kid's not even 18 yet, you know?
Right.
And yeah, I mean, the whole iron sharpens iron thing, developed here. I mean, it's real, You're going to get everyone's best shot every day because everybody from on that team, from where they're from, was that guy, We're talking Mr. Footballs. We're talking Gatorade National Players of the Years. I'm going to recruit 5 stars. Like, you're going to get everyone's best shot. It doesn't matter who you line up across or against because, I mean, they're all dudes at the end of the day.
No, absolutely. You got a comment here that I'm actually interested in as well. What was your reaction to your aunt going viral after the Oregon game?
Yeah, I saw that, and at first I was like, "Oh boy, hope this doesn't get me in any trouble with Coach Day." But it was all fun, and I mean, it's cool to see. She's actually an alumni of Ohio State. She was All-American shot put and discus thrower at Ohio State. So to continue the lineage of success from to come through Ohio State from our family, it's quite an honor.
What did she do?
She was a shot put. She threw the shot put.
No.
For the clip.
To get viral.
Remember? Oh boy! So there was a moment after the game where we had just got done saying Carmen, Ohio, and she had hugged Caden McDonald, who was a D tackle.
Yeah.
And she was hugging Caden McDonald, and at the end, she was like, "You need more playing time, baby."
Oh,
yeah.
I did see that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I did see that. So we've talked the regular season. We've obviously talked the playoffs. When it comes, the Tennessee, you're always going to remember that crowd. You're always going to remember that. When it comes to the Rose Bowl, that trip, do you still have your rose? You still got a rose somewhere?
Yeah, I got 2 in the freezer. Yep.
Got 2 in the freezer. Have you started looking up how you're going to preserve that so your grandkids can look at it one day?
Actually, shout out to Brody. His girlfriend preserves like flowers and stuff like that. So she's working with me. So I appreciate her.
Oh, that's great.
Kind of Beauty and the Beast concept thing.
Yeah. Beauty and the Beast is like what's some type of like stuff on it. Yeah. But it's gonna be preserved. So I'm happy about that.
That's awesome.
That's great. That's great. I was a nervous wreck sitting on my couch, and mind you, I'm 34 years old. I've been in the Army for like 14 years now. I've got a wife and a kid. I'm a nervous wreck during the national championship. I'm a nervous wreck when it's 21-7. Okay. But I've got my buddy here, Josh, my always confident Patriot here. Smooth sailing the whole game. Never worried, never concerned, anything of the sort. On the sidelines, was there any unease amongst you or your fellow teammates?
Yeah. Yeah. So that first possession where Notre Dame went down the field and took like every minute of the first quarter, it felt like.
You're telling me.
We're sitting on the bench as an O-line and like we just feel helpless, Like back to what I said earlier about having a Ferrari. We knew offensively we had a Ferrari, but like were we going to be able to get it on the track and get it going, But it was a helpless feeling that first possession because we knew the defense was great. We knew that Notre Dame was going to run the ball down our throat, and they did in the first possession. And we didn't lose confidence in the defense. That's not what I'm saying, but it felt like very helpless to see them basically decimate physically the best defense in the country. And I thought this, and I probably shouldn't say this, but it gave me flashbacks to November, just seeing a team just do just like that and just not being able to stop it or do anything, But once we got the Ferrari rolling on the track, we were fine from there. But definitely that first possession, it was a helpless, nervous feeling because we were like, all right, the first quarter is basically over, and we have yet to touch the ball.
We haven't touched the ball yet. No.
Is it even more frustrating to be in that situation because you're not in the defensive meeting rooms? You don't really know what the defensive game plan is. So you're watching it and you don't know why, you don't know how, and then you have PTSD from the Michigan loss. Yeah. So that's what you're describing, and a lot of your teammates were feeling the same way.
Yeah. We're not, but we know they work just as hard, if not harder than the offense.
Right. Right.
They get a lot of the blame too, obviously, down the stretch. But yeah, I mean, we never lost confidence. We never lost faith in the defense to do their job. You know, it was just one of those things where, like, the best way I can describe it is like if someone's drowning, but you don't know how to swim, so you can't jump in and save them because, like, you know, I can't play nose tackle or middle linebacker or safety. You know what I mean? So I mean, yeah, we never lost faith, but like it was just hard to sit there and see them be, you know, picked apart like that because, you know, it was one of those things where, like, you know, that thought starts to creep in your mind, like, okay, like, this is very sustainable. You know, they didn't do anything special. You know, they ran the quarterback and they did what they did, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be different if they came out and tried to do something that they, you know, didn't do. But we knew when we saw that Notre Dame won that they were just going to try to do this the entire game, and see them do that on the first possession. It was demoralizing for all of 2.5 minutes until we got the ball.
Yeah. And you guys got the ball, and then you guys did something that rarely happened during the regular season, but happened, it seemed like, every game in the playoff. You just went down their first drive and scored.
Yeah.
You know, and then to have just an absolute, you know, lashing of Tennessee coming out there and just putting the pedal to the metal against Oregon, again, scoring on your first drive against Texas, and then Notre Dame, you know, coming out there and driving the ball. It was, you know, I was a little uneasy myself, and I'm just sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
And then of course, you know, you guys went and did your thing. Quinshon Judkins had a phenomenal first half.
Yeah.
Will Howard, 17 for 17 in the first half, and then, you know, that second half, you know, they started finding some things at work. Give me his name, Greathouse. What a phenomenal! Was there anybody? Yeah, Greathouse. Yeah. Was there anybody on that Notre Dame team that you're like, okay, well, obviously you've got Riley Leonard showing all kinds of guts in that first drive, and, you know, he looked like he was on the verge of passing out a couple of times during that first drive. Was there anybody on that team you're just like, oh wow, you know, this guy is the real deal? I can see why Notre Dame is sitting here on the opposite side of us here in the national championship.
Yeah, definitely the running back tandem. Jeremiah Love, special running back, and the other running back they have, I'm sorry, I forget his name, but he was special. Those two were very special. And we knew Jane Greathouse, you know, he had been quiet during the regular season, but, you know, if you look at the playoff run they had, he started to quietly and then loudly pop off in the playoffs. So we knew that we had to contain their backfield, and we knew that a large part of how they got here was their backfield, and the defensive guys knew they had their work cut out for them. But yeah, we flipped on the tape. You know, we knew that defensively they were going to be solid, but we knew that the engine that drove that team was on offense and their running backs.
So, and then one more. When do you sit there and tell yourself, I'm a national champion? Is it when the confetti falls, or when you see 3rd and 11 to Jeremiah Smith?
Or your head coach with Jimmy Kimmel?
Yeah. So
I forgot about that.
It really sank in, I'd say, when we got back to the locker room.
Oh, wow.
Trophy was there.
Woo!
Yeah. That's when it really sank in, you know, because, like, in the moment, like, you know, the confetti's coming, you're getting the hats and the T-shirts and everything, and you're scrambling to find your family, but, like, it really didn't sink in until you come back and you see that 35-pound gold, I don't even know what shape it is, trophy, just in the middle of the locker room. Just, you know, it's yours. They can't take that away from you, you know, because we did things the right way. We didn't.
Well, they might take it from me.
We didn't do anything of that nature. We lined up and played.
Little cheating scandal joke I threw in there.
We got one. You know, you're talking about the trophy. What about those bowl game swag bags? Anything good this year?
Yeah, there are a couple good things. Got TVs. Cotton Bowl TVs, nice. Fun fact: we actually got TVs in all the bowl games, so I got a lot of TVs.
That's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of TVs. I would say, though, the best bowl gift probably came from. Okay, I'm an old school kid. Like, I grew up like eat, sleep, breathe Buckeye football, right?
You're speaking to the crowd, bud.
Yeah. when we when we got a rose from the Rose Bowl, like that's probably the most special gift I got. And granted, it wasn't a gift because we weren't going to get him if we didn't win. But the fact that we won and got him, because you grow up, you see him on TV, you're like, man, like the Vince Young shot when he ran it in, like just these iconic moments that happen. And so to have a rose is really cool. I mean, yeah, I guess like the TVs and all the electronics and all that's cool, but I'm old school, man. Like that rose is special and will forever be special.
Yeah, you can give that to your kids too. You know what I mean? Like a TV from
exactly.
Daddy's Cotton Bowl TV.
Exactly.
To you, that doesn't have the same ring to it as the Rose Bowl. Let me ask you? We're getting up to the hour mark here, so I gotta make sure I ask my question. I ask every athlete this.
Yep.
You played on some great teams. You played with some dynamite talent. Who is the greatest athlete / football player you have seen that you've either played with or against? It could be anybody, but who's the best? Who's the best football player?
Best football player. That's a good one. Playing against is hard because I mean when you come to Ohio State, you play Big Ten, you play playoff.
Well, it doesn't have to be. It can be. It doesn't have to be. It can be played with or whatever. Yeah. Anybody you see. I interviewed. I had interviewed Vince Workman, and he said Marshall Falk, which makes sense. But then he goes, "Yeah, and I saw him step out of the shower, and I was shocked." So,
I would probably have to say. As far as just complete gifts right now, I mean, there's so many guys I could say, but right off the top of my head, I'd say Jack Sawyer.
Really?
Getting to block him in practice. I mean, one, being an Ohio kid from right down the road, knowing what he represents and the struggles and tribulations he had to go through, but just so dynamic and explosive. And, a lot of people don't see that on a day-to-day basis. You see the product on Saturday, and there's a lot of other things that go into that, but just, lining up, playing hard nose, running plays down from 15, 20 yards down the field, just being a kid that, is fighting with you and you're trying to take him off the field, because he just, if he died on the field, he'd be okay with that, and like I said, there's so many guys I could say.
But you blocked Jack Sawyer. So that one's a little deep.
I wouldn't say I tried to get in his way at times.
Oh, yeah. You got run over by Jack. You were Jack Sawyer's speed bump for a couple.
Exactly. I was Jack Sawyer's pop-up dummy.
There you go. Yeah.
I saw this comment. I wanted to leave this one here for the last. One word that will describe this season and one word that's going to describe the upcoming season. I know it's a little early to say that, but
one word to describe this past season, I would probably say, good one. I would probably say fight. That was the slogan of the year. And every day it was a fight. We were scratching, clawing, fighting. There may have been some pushing and shoving in there, but we knew we all wanted to get to the same place. It was just a matter of being able to turn coals into diamonds to get there. So I'd say fight. For the upcoming season, that's a tough one. We just started off-season workouts not too long ago. So I'm going to leave that one up in the air for now.
Absolutely.
But, I'll get an answer as the season goes on.
We'll have to have you on after the spring.
We'd love to have you back.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to come back.
We'd love to have you back. We have hit the hour mark again. To each and everybody that's jumped on, thanks for jumping on. Thanks for all your questions for Julian here. How long are you going to be in Zanesville? What do you got coming up, might I ask?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm back in Columbus.
You're back in Columbus. Okay.
I happen to be in Zanesville just to do the little youth basketball game. I enjoy to do that, get around the kid.
Okay.
But yeah, I left Zanesville a few weeks ago, and I'll be in Columbus. Every once in a while, when things slow down in the summer, I get back home and it may pop up. But yeah, I'm in Columbus right now as we speak. So.
Well, but now that you're a national champion, your phone is ringing off the hook. We know you got some things going on this week, and with the NIL and all that, we want to make sure that we're doing our part to get your name out there, and then all the activities you got going on. And Julian, I understand that for those that are listening and watching, you got this fun card and the 2024 National Champion team set. There's the Julian Goines-Jackson card. He also has one in the 2023 set for those that are collecting. And you have a link that you were going to share, or you have a way to access?
Yeah, if you go to onit.com, or if you're in the Columbus area and you want to go to Hometown Huddle in Plain City, Ohio, they have all the Onit packs, Ohio State and beyond that you could ever ask for. Shout out to Mr. Don and his company and everyone on it for, putting trading cards out there. Being in the video game is cool, but having your own trading card is just as cool. So
it's cooler, bro.
It's a dream.
Forever, man. This is
a
forever,
dream.
dude.
Yeah.
So
I got you a top loader in my basement, bro.
But yeah, definitely shout out to all those On It guys and everybody over On It that made this all possible.
Do you have a link where someone can
awesome.
cash from it, or we'll?
Can I put this in the chat here?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then make sure you send it to me on X so we can put it on the description of the video. We'll send it out, and you're gonna be at Hometown Huddle. Is that right?
Sir. I'll be at Hometown Huddle Wednesday, February the 5th, from 4 to 6 p.m. I'll be there. Have a couple of my teammates with me, and we'll be there just to hang out, sign anything you guys may want signed, and just have a good time from 4 to 6. So yeah, definitely pop out. I can put the address in the chat if you want me to.
Yeah, send me the address on X as well. We'll make sure we put it in the description too. And then Julian, do you want to share your X and your social medias where people?
Yeah, absolutely. That's crazy that I got to go dig it up because not gonna lie, I just don't know it off the top of my head.
You're
so
good.
My X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it at this point is at Julian capital G capital J ACK 2022 high school recruiting. Can't change it now, so
we're gonna put it in the description anyway.
Yeah, I'll put that here so you guys could copy and paste it. There's the X, and on Instagram, because I know people just love them some Instagram. Yeah, I love me some Instagram. I'm not gonna lie, it's what keeps me up at night.
February 5th, Hometown Huddle, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Okay.
Yes, sir. There's the Instagram.
And if anybody wants to reach out to you, maybe they want to send you something to sign or whatever, you maybe get some
my email. Yeah, I'll put my email in the chat.
Cool.
jgoins500@gmail.com. You can ship things to. Ooh, I probably shouldn't put my parents' address out there like that. For now, but if you email me, I'll get you a place to ship it to, and I'll get it back to you as quick as possible. So
that's awesome, man. That's cool. We appreciate you coming on the show, dude. National champion from Zanesville, Ohio. Again, going to be a Hometown Huddle in Plain City on Wednesday, signing all your On It cards, trying to complete the set. Julian, I know you got your own set too. I'm sure you do.
I actually have a special national championship set.
Oh,
I don't think it's been released yet. So,
dude, jealous, man. I've been buying them all up, dude. I've been buying. I bet I got 30 of you. Dude. I'll have to stop out and get your autograph on Wednesday.
Sounds good. Can't wait.
Awesome. Hey, honestly, thank you for joining us. I think we enjoyed it more than you do, but hey, we got all kinds of comments here. Everyone so happy to have you on here. Your family's on here getting love. Yeah. Family's getting all the kinds of shout outs. we got great kids. Love you. Congrats, family. All this, that, and third. You are a part of Buckeye history forever, man. Forever. And you've got 5 TVs out of it too.
Right, got 5. TV, hit me up. I'm looking to sell. Nah.
But awesome. Thanks for joining, Julian. We'd love to have you back on anytime that you're available. We'll try not to poke and prod you for the schemes of the week or any type of game plans, but we'd love to have you on.
Appreciate that.
This is the Ohio State of Mind podcast. As always, I'm Chris. You can find me at CRunning15 on X. Josh?
Yeah, follow me on X at Josh Keatley16. Check out my work at Buckeyes Wire. OH.
IO.
OHIO. We have a national champion for now and for always.
Right.
Thanks for joining us, and go Bucks.
Go Bucks.